Hello and welcome to the latest edition of You Should Have Been Here Last Week, the podcast hosted by myself, Steve Gribbin, and fellow comedian Paul Ricketts.
What do you say?
You Should Have Been Here Last Week is the podcast that pulls back the glittery curtain of showbiz to peer at the secret treasures of the comedy industry. Each episode we'll be talking to the makers, the movers, the shakers, the groovers, the rule breakers, the hoovers and the disprovers that go to make up this business that we call comedy. And today's very special guest is multi-award winning stand-up comedian, actor, writer, promoter, YouTube video supremo, Samantha Day.
Hello, darling.
Hello, welcome to the show, Samantha.
Thank you.
We always start off with the same question, I suppose. How did you get started in your comedy career?
Well, I started late, so slowly would be the summary. I started when I was 50. And basically what happened was I am a recovering accountant. So I've been an accountant for 30 years at the time. And my last child, so I was a single parent, I had 3 kids. The last one left university. And I thought, oh my God, I could stop this providing thing that I'm doing. I could do anything I wanted. So I started stand up at that point, and I did 6 months of trying to be an accountant, and I wasn't just an accountant, I'm being modest, which is most unlike me, but I was like what my mum would describe as a top accountant. So I got a responsible job. She does that still. And I just couldn't weave the two together, and luckily I had a really horrible boss. So that made the decision a lot easier. So 6 months later, I left my accountancy job because, look at me. I'm quite cheap to run once you get rid of all my responsibilities. Got to pay for Botox, but beyond that, I'm pretty low rent, really. So, yeah, it was the easy choice.
I mean, lots of people say that there's crunch time when people are first starting off where you have to make that, the either or choice. I mean, you say you're a recovering accountant. Do you still, like feel the pull of accountancy?
Do I dabble?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I used to be a tax accountant, so basically I was one of the evil bastards. I wasn't really, because I did something called R&D tax relief, which is where you sort of plough money into research and stuff. But it still sounds bad, so that's more fun. But no, I think because, you're either a good, up-to-date accountant or you're best off staying well away from it. Otherwise you're dangerous, aren't you? And also, the other thing about it is, when I was so when I went to university, I didn't know that I sounded like a country bumpkin. And then I went to Oxford, and I was very aware that, oh, God, I don't talk properly. I went to St Catherine's College, Oxford, and for the first year I called it St Catherine's and didn't know I was the only one saying it like that. And then when I got into accountancy as my job, I noticed that the senior people all talked pretty similar, that it was quite a received sort of BBC kind of neutral tone. And so I learned to talk like that. And I just talk like that all the time, and I got used to it. And actually, when you come to comedy, you want to be a bit more just of whatever you are. You take off all those masks because they're not serving you. And if I dabbled in accountancy, I know it's a fucking long answer. I don't know what's wrong with me. If I dabbled in accountancy, I'd have to dabble with putting that mask on and off, and that's not, I'm trying to make a big enough transition at a late enough age without fucking going back and forth over the line. So I stepped away from it, and that's that.
Yeah.
So you don't miss any of the people there? Is there any, because that's one of the things.
Oh, what a thing to say about my fellow colleagues.
Well, yes, I think you could say it. They probably won't listen or watch this. So, you could say what you want.
Yeah, I could say anything. To be fair, I didn't miss any of the people, but that is no shade on them. That is because of the personality type I am. So whenever I used to leave a job, I used to think, my husband used to take the piss because I'd go, oh, we're like a family. And then he'd go, they're not your family. The minute you say you're leaving, they cut you off
Yeah.
dead. So they're not your family. But I used to get into that vibe. But then the next minute, I'd be in a different company, and you sort of have to forget your old family because you're fucking busy trying to make new friends and make new money. And comedy's a bit like that. I've got to focus on it and enjoy it. So it's not that I don't like them, and I love seeing them. Quite a lot of them come up to my gigs and stuff. And when I see them, I'm just like delighted because they were lovely. But I don't miss anyone. I don't miss ex-boyfriends. I'm just not wired that way. I wish I was. I wish I had a bit more bloody romance in my soul.
So, I mean, you said that you turned a hobby into. So you were doing it. What's your first ever proper gig? Do you reckon?
Do you know Des Feely, who does a gig in St Albans called Just Another Comedy Club?
Yeah, I know his
Yeah.
name. Yeah.
So Des is one of my favourite people because he has not left 1973, and he's not fucking going to, not for anyone. And some of his material is terribly off colour, and I absolutely love it. It's hilarious. And he is an absolute superstar of the comedy world, in my view, because he's one of the people that will give space to new acts. Because let's face it, when you give space to a new act, they probably aren't going to be very good. None of us are very good at stuff we've never done before. And that's normal. And, as a promoter, I only run a pro night, so it's a bit irrelevant, I suppose. But, I know the risk you're taking when you're taking on an act that may not be a superstar. And he's a real risk taker in that respect. And he's contributed a lot to the industry by doing that, in my view. And he was my first proper gig.
Right. Do you remember how it went?
Yeah, it went brilliantly. In fact, all of the gigs from 1 to 19 went brilliantly. And I thought, oh, God, those comedians that die, I think maybe they're just not very good. And I think I'm quite good. And that probably won't happen to me. And then on gig 20, unfortunately, in a place called Clerkenwell in London. Oh no, was it Clerkenwell? Anyway, it's somewhere in London. And I discovered that it wasn't just them that could die, it was also me. It was so embarrassing. Apparently, I said, because I just died on my ass like horribly right from the start. And apparently, I don't even remember it. I think I've just blocked it out. But apparently, I said, I don't know, and sat down. And my husband was there I'm like, when you start comedy, all your friends and family are really interested, and then they realise you're going to do the same set for at least 18 months, and they soon lose interest. But at the time, my husband was there, and he was so fucking much more traumatised than me. I was like, oh, well, I thought that might happen, never mind, on we go. He couldn't come and watch me for like 2 years after that because he was so, like, just traumatised.
Yeah, he had PTSD.
Yeah, he had PTSD.
Comedy PTSD.
I've noticed that you have done so many comedy competitions, the names of which I didn't know there were so many. There was like, the nearly new comedy, the almost new, not so new acts, funny women, not so funny women. Oh, it's just loads of them. And did you and still doing them as well?
Yeah, I do them all the time. I love a comedy competition. I do. Yeah, I try and win 2 a year. That's my target. Win 2. Sometimes I go into them and I think, I don't know if I will win this one. I haven't decided. But usually I go in, I think I will. I'll just win this one as well. Because otherwise other people might win it. And that's not really what we want as comedians, is it?
Have you got all the trophies on your on a shelf or on a cabinet or something?
Yes, I have. Yeah. And I won this one called Silver Stand Up in Leicester last year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I got to give that back because the trophy goes on to the other person. So I'm now thinking of ways in which I might have lost it.
Yeah, that's a bit tight. Can't they afford
It's
to get
a
a
bit
new one?
tight. Yeah, I think it might get stolen. If you do see a reel of me crying because I've had a burglary, you heard it here first.
Sounds very plausible. Yeah, sounds
Yeah,
great.
yeah. It's not premeditated. That's the main thing.
So when you were growing up and watching stuff on, watching on the television, is there anybody, comedians that stick out in your mind? You thought, oh, that inspired you, or that you really loved when you were growing up.
Well, yeah, when I was growing up, I can't say they inspired me because I had absolutely no idea that I could become a comedian. Like if someone had said you could become a comedian, and I wish they fucking had, I would have done it a lot earlier. But it didn't even enter my head. And so I had lots of things I enjoyed, and they probably did inspire me, I guess, didn't they, round the in a roundabout way. But yeah, I mean, I'm a child of I was born in 1968, so my sort of formative telly watching years were probably the late 80s, early 90s. So we're talking Blackadder and that kind of thing. And all their sort of, do you remember when, I mean, I'm sort of not inspired by it now, but in fact, I am inspired by it, but in a different way. Do you remember when all the like alternative comics came through and French and Saunders, blah, blah, all that wave? Of course you do. Look at the state of you. Of course you remember.
Yeah.
What am I thinking?
No, I've got
But
no
what
idea.
I mean by inspiration is actually they were quite anarchic at the time, and that was why me, as a late teenager, early 20s, really liked them. Comedy now is not that anarchic, and I am inspired to be anarchic afresh.
As an antidote to the modern.
As an antidote, yeah. I think
Yeah.
I suppose it's quite a youthful industry, no offence to anyone present, but generally it's quite a youthful industry. And so you do get youthful sensibilities coming through, don't you?
That's
And
true.
I love a bit of kindness. I think, there's not enough of it in the world. And also, I love a bit of actual, real definition. Is it kind to pretend things are different to what they actually are? I don't think so. So, yeah, that's sort of the balance we're always trying to strike, isn't it?
So, if you think it's not anarchic, what is it? How would you describe, the circuit, your general comic?
The general comic, it's a difficult one to even define a general comic, isn't it? Because we're all so different, which is one of the utter joys of the whole thing. But if I was to define what I perceive as the sort of new people coming through, younger comics, I would say that the range of subjects they talk about is quite predictable, and their opinions on those subjects are quite predictable. And if you think about the definition of what makes something funny, which is kind of that flick at the end that you weren't expecting, I don't find that particularly inspiring. I quite like the idea that someone might say something that I'm not expecting, and even worse, I don't agree with. So, yeah, I guess I define it as a little bit. Maybe it's something you get used to as a comic. You start to be able to foresee punchlines. But to be able to foresee before someone hits the stage what they're most likely to talk about and what their views are likely to be is a little bit disappointing, isn't it?
Well, you could say then, well, I'm going to say it, that...
Go on then, Paul. You say it. I like that even more than me saying it.
Is it a case that it's not that they look and sound incredibly similar, and so they're probably from a very similar class, very similar hue, sometimes very similar height, even round about 5'7". 5'8.5".
Round about the average height. How did that happen?
I don't know.
How dare they?
That is really weird. I mean, if you average them all out, they come to the exact average height, which is weird.
7.5.
That's a conspiracy,
size,
isn't
anyway.
It?
That's.
Yeah, I don't know if it's class related. I mean, Edinburgh is definitely class related, isn't it? And it breaks my heart that, but it is what it is. But I would say we have more in common with people of our generation than even people in our own family in terms of our opinions. And so I would say it's more generational. And the thing I suppose that I find tricky is I associate youth with anarchy. I don't associate, because when we were young, we were the disruptors, we were the one going on marches about apartheid and, fucking the poll tax and what have you. And now it's almost like the older people are still responsible for confronting things that just don't look quite right to them. And I know that younger people do confront things because they confront me, but it's mainly about compliance. They want me to comply with their view of the world, and I don't know why that's important, really.
Well, but you could say in terms of trans issues, there's definitely a schism, and I think that's okay. You could say that is not a compliancy thing, and I don't think, even though other people I know would argue that.
So I think that's a classic compliance.
Really? Thing. That you got to be respectful to these people?
No, it's not about respect. No, I think respect isn't a compliancy thing. I think respectful of everyone is a reasonable expectation that anyone might have. But I do think that the reason I say it's a compliancy thing is, with my children at least, maybe I've got very bolshy children and it wouldn't surprise me because their dad's very bolshy. But I find that if I try to talk to them about things like trans issues, they don't even want to talk to me about it. They're like, Mum, no, don't. And all I'm trying to do is understand their point of view and think about it in the round and balance off other points of views. And that seems intolerable to them. Mum, just leave it. And, I've even had a younger member of my family say, let's just talk about something else. And that I find quite different to how we were as youth. We would get all pissed and then have massive rows about things, and it's
but with
I'm not saying that's a good thing.
Not with our parents. No, God, I could totally see similar situations where I did not
shut up.
Well, I wouldn't tell my mum to shut up, but that's an impossibility.
No, Paul, don't tell your mum to shut up.
No, I wish I could now, but I can't. No, I can't. No, but I hate the whole definition of generations. Like, you notice there's a great big gap, sort of in the early noughties, where we haven't got a name for a generation, or for the 90s. We don't seem to have a name for them. But we've got Gen Z, we've got Boomers, we've got Millennials, and
well, the missing one is Gen X.
Yeah.
So we do have it. We do have it.
Yeah, but no one cares really, because it doesn't seem to be that they weren't that much different. They weren't.
Is it a bit like car registration? So we're going to have to go. We've finished it.
We can start again.
Well, no, it's Alpha.
That's true. The new generation is called Alpha.
Yeah, because they fancy themselves as that.
Come on, old man. Come on. You can do it.
I can.
You can.
Gen Alpha. Yeah, I should have realised that. Yeah,
but I think a lot of this is just media, and people like it. People like to feel like they're generationally different, and us in a lot of ways. I don't think we are. Apart from the fact that when you said that people of our age, they are the most reactionary, awful people. I feel like we've all turned into some nasty reform voting bigoted arseholes.
Are you saying that you're feeling a bit right-wing, Paul?
I'm feeling incredibly left-wing in comparison to people I used to know.
No, we hear you. It's absolutely fine. You're amongst friends. If you want to be far-right, Steve and I will allow it.
Yeah, I've got no choice. I'm bound to allow it. I even invite them over for Christmas dinner. That's how good I am.
Yeah.
Oh, bless you. Yeah, well, maybe what I think what you're saying to me, Paul, is you're very old. You don't realise how old you are, and that you're an old reactionary, and your children are just trying to help you, Samantha. And you may well be right, Paul.
Okay, I should never have interfered in family life like that. I'm sorry. Forget I said anything.
I love this. See, this is the sort of thing that I enjoy immensely.
But I mean,
my children don't enjoy talking to me about things.
What do your kids think about you doing the stand-up?
I think, well, the stand-up, of course, is an even further risk, isn't it? That I might say something, that they disagree with. So I think they sort of cheer me on. Actually, my son, because he's 32, I think, my son. I think he is. He's born in 1993. Yeah, he is. He's 32. And he comes along occasionally and he enjoys it. But I think they're sort of proud of me for doing it, but they don't particularly involve themselves in it. They'll come if I've got a new show or something like that, but they wouldn't come along like to a general gig. But their friends like it, even if my kids are a bit like, ooh, their friends think it's great.
I mean, do they think it's funny? Have they told you that they like it? Oh, that's good. I mean,
Yeah.
Nothing worse than children not liking it. One of the big questions we do ask a lot of the comics that we have on here is, what do you think about the use of AI in comedy and social media, etc.? I know that you're big on YouTube, and your YouTube videos are brilliant, by the way. But what do you think? Is it a good thing or a bad thing, or is it just a thing and it's there? It's going to be.
Well, yeah, we might as well start with it's an inevitable thing, mightn't we? So then the question is, so where does it belong? Where does it work well and where does it work badly? Might be stuff that's worth thinking about. I mean, I actually think, if you think about how jokes are constructed, different joke types and stuff like that, I quite often use Google and stuff for lists. Because, we use lists a lot, don't we, when we create an exaggeration or misdirection or whatever. So it's not really that different. But I think the line for me is, and they might be able to replicate this in AI, and I really will feel sad if they do. But the line for me is, yes, you've got your material and you've got your your timing, your rhythm, all the things that make up a brilliant performance. And then the magic in the room with the audience, the connection, the sort of agility to see, how this night tonight, just us lot, never again, will play out. I mean, that I'm hoping is harder to take away, because to me, that is the sort of magic. That's where the magic happens. All the hard work behind is how the magic happens. But that moment in the room, if we were to lose that, it would be so sad. Actually, all the hard work behind the scenes, if AI could help with that, whatever, I don't really care. But I do also, I suppose it's like with any art form, whether it's literature, film, whatever, there is also the question of ownership and, all those boring things about, well, the fruit of someone's labours. A guy from, I can't remember, that big, is it Phil McIntyre, that big agency? He said to me, he said, I don't like going to improv shows at the Fringe. I like going and I like seeing the toil. I like seeing an hour that someone's worked fucking hard at and to see the results. And I suppose I do feel a little bit sad that there'll be no difference between the toiler and the not toiler anymore if AI is really good. But I mean, that is something we can't fight, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we have wondered whether or not there will be, in the near future, an AI-generated comedian.
Like a hologram sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's only a few years away in the pipeline, I think.
Yeah.
But
what's that ABBA thing they've done? ABBA-tastic or something, isn't it? What's it called? ABBA. ABBA Voyage.
It's the Voyage.
Voyage, yeah. It'll be like the comedian Voyage, won't it?
Yeah.
It'll probably be an avatar of an actual comedian, I would guess. It'll be Michael McIntyre made out of pixels and air, and he'll be doing all that, like running around the stage and all that, won't he? And talking about hot drinks and stuff. And we'll all think it's fantastic.
That'll be the British one.
Yeah, the British one.
And the American one will be all over the place. It'd be more extreme.
Yeah, be a guy talking about trans issues in Gen Z.
Yeah.
And
Or Gen
probably
Alpha.
referring to this podcast as a source of wisdom.
Oh,
All
yes,
the
I hope so.
credits. They'll probably go, oh, yeah, I seen that day on that. You should have been here last week. And I thought, oh, I'm inspired.
Yeah, that trans lover Paul Ricketts going on about how much he loves the trans.
Yeah.
Get him.
He's
Get him.
pansexual. Get him in there.
Old school lefties, the woke bastards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking of which, you, because I remember last time I got in contact with you was because I think I'm going to mention it. Jim Davison.
Yeah.
There was several promoters that were sort of trying to hoodwink people into doing a Jim Davison show, recording a political show, and I was able to find out, oh my God, it's Jim Davison, and didn't do it. And then I found out that, and I thought to warn some other people, which I did, and I tried to warn you, but you already done it by that point.
I'd already done it by then. Yeah, I suppose it's interesting. He won't speak to me now, Jim Davidson. We've had a massive falling out, but I don't know what happened, to be honest with you. But he's made of glass, so he's a kind of, if you upset him, that's that. He's that you can't put that back together, and I upset him. But anyway, the reason I went on there was because he actually was, so just for the record, he knows that I don't agree with a lot of his political views. However, I hope he also knows that I really am appreciative of the time and attention he gave me when I was starting out, because he taught me a lot. Right, when we threw away all those old comics with their horrible sexist, racist, whatever, we also threw away some really valuable skills like timing. Which I'm not saying comics don't have timing now, they do, but the timing of some of those older comics is so beautiful that if we kept them around, we'd probably have absorbed it even better, even quicker.
Like some of the racist material was so beautifully timed, I almost didn't notice it.
Just so good.
I felt like, my God, that was so funny. Even I, as a black person, that was well timed. So,
well performed by that man.
Yeah.
But no, credit where it's due. He was actually kind and generous to me at a time when, if I'm totally honest, people that might portray themselves as kind and generous weren't being kind of generous to me. And so I am grateful to him for the time he gave me. I was grateful for the opportunity. I mean, I sort of went on that show because I thought, well, nobody else is going to fucking ask me to do anything. I can learn here. And I personally don't agree with the idea that just because you talk to someone or breathe the same air as them, you are naturally aligned with them in any other way. In fact, I believe the complete fucking opposite, which is where we started this, which is we have to talk to people that are different from us if we want to understand the world. And, when Brexit happened, I was so shocked. I was working in Canary Wharf. Nobody I knew voted for Brexit. And then as soon as it happened, I was talking to a friend who worked in Leeds, and he said, everyone knew it was going to happen, Sam. You're just living in this weird little bubble where, you don't see the world. So that was a really good example to me of how small my world had become. Anyway, so going back to Jim, he doesn't seem to want anything to do with me now, which is absolutely his choice. But I remain grateful to him for the time he gave me.
Yeah, that seems fair enough. And if he's put some time into, you should credit him. My only problem was that he was trying to get people to do this show without being completely honest about his involvement.
I don't think he was. I think that was the agent, because he, for all his faults, right, when I went down to because I'd done a few bits and bobs with him before that panel show, he's got a studio down south somewhere, I can't remember where it is, and I went there and I went in the room and people were saying things I didn't agree with, but they were having fun and not giving a shit about what they said. And it reminded me of being a child. You know, when you're a child and people you don't know what's right and wrong, and you just sort of say stuff, and then an adult will go, "That's not okay." And you go, "Oh, isn't it? Okay, sorry, I won't say it anymore." And there was a freedom to it that I found alien. I hadn't really, because obviously in the world of accountancy, you're very unfree, you're very trammeled about what you could, you mustn't have any political views for a staff. And this was a sort of totally different environment. And all of the people there, I would say, were honest. You might not like them, you might not agree with them, but they were more honest about how they felt inside than I experienced in the general world. And I don't think he would have tried to hoodwink you. I think someone else probably tried to hoodwink you because they know how toxic his brand is.
Yeah, I think that's true enough. It wasn't him directly. It was other people. But it did happen 3 times. And they
were desperate for you, Paul.
I know, and I find that
they wanted
worrying
you.
That they want me so much.
Body.
They want me so much. Why is this the case? What is the matter with me? There were some great stories about people who didn't know and then turned up, and one of which apparently he really panicked when he found out it was.
Yeah, I think I might know who you're talking about.
And he said, "Let's go to the pub," and then he then proceeded to drink himself drunk as fast as possible so he couldn't get on. And then another person apparently went to the toilet, jumped out a window, and escaped to the train station.
Yeah, I know you're talking about as well. And I mean, I think that's a shame because they could have saved themselves a train fare.
Just be honest about it.
Had they known.
Because for some people would make that choice, and why not? It is a learning experience. You can only but learn from it.
Yeah, I think that's right. And there were comics on there that I like and respect still. You know, they weren't all at all the sorts of people that you would necessarily align with Jim Davidson. They were all it was called Left, Right and Centre. So necessarily he had to invite some people who would identify as left wing or centre. So and he did do that, and I thought it was a fun show. I'm kind of ashamed of my performance on it because I wasn't very good, you know, because I was new. But I also thought, if you're going to be shit on a panel show, now's the time to do it. Don't wait till you're on the telly, you know, go and be shit on his panel show that no one's going to watch. This is great.
So what is your plans for I mean, apart from stand-up, have you got plans for acting or writing, sitcoms, or, you know, what's the bigger picture?
The bigger picture is I'm 57, right? Nobody's going to offer me anything. So whatever I do, I've got to create it and do it. So at the moment, I am totally in love with stand-up. And so my mission is to become brilliant at stand-up. Where that leads, I'm not even interested. I don't care. You know, I don't care if I'm on telly or I'm not on telly or whatever. I'm just interested in becoming brilliant at stand-up because I genuinely believe if you do become brilliant, and I'm not saying I'm capable of this, the fun in it is finding out. But I genuinely believe if you do become brilliant at something, they will come. They will come. And so, and it was the same with my last career, you know, as a single mum trying to become, you know, a partner in a big firm of accountants in London seemed mental, but I did it. It just took time. And so the next thing I do, if I ever feel like, oh, stand-up's not enough, I want to do other stuff, will be self-generated. I quite fancy I don't get excited about writing scripts. All the reels I do with my brother, they're unscripted. We just do those.
Very funny.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll tell him. Everyone says he's the funny one, which is not the idea of the exercise at all.
It'll go to his head.
Annoying. Yeah. But we have to do, he lives in Bulgaria, so we have to do those over the phone, and I have to sort of stare at a point on the wall as if he's in the room. It's very difficult. And he won't go on camera because he's military and they're not allowed. But anyway, I would imagine the next thing might be writing a book.
Right, okay.
Because then I can do that self-generated. And
you got any idea what the book would be about?
Yes, I think most people's first book is pretty autobiographical, really. So I have had a interesting life. And so I'll probably pick different aspects of that and do more than one book.
Well, I mean, will it be fiction or?
Yeah, I think it'll be fictional so that I can exaggerate and tell lies. But it will be broadly autobiographical.
Okay, we'll look out for that.
Well, I wouldn't look out any time soon because I've still got stand-up to learn, but I will tell you in 10 years' time when it's out.
Oh, great.
Thank you, Steve.
You were talking about your book, and I was thinking we didn't ask any questions about your interesting life.
Yeah,
did we?
well,
did we get enough in?
You can wait till it comes out in paperback. Yeah. No, my interest in life, I think, is having had two wildly different careers and notice how similar the people are across both of those. In fact, all these interesting people in comedy are pretty similar to the interesting people in every other walk of life, as it turns out. But also, yeah, my personal life has been extremely rocky. So I've learned a lot from that. I might write a relationship advice book because I've had loads of relationships, so I must know quite a lot about it.
So we're going to thank you for coming on today.
Yeah.
We're going to cut off any second. So thank you, Samantha, for being on our podcast.
Thank you for having me. I hope I haven't offended anyone.
No, not yet.
Thanks very much. See you later.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
So that was Samantha Day. We'll have to wait for the book to get even more details on her fantastic life. Apart from watching her stand-up, which I do recommend you do that as well. Yeah. So I suppose the only thing left to say is if you've enjoyed this podcast, please tell your friends, like, share, subscribe. I'm trying to think of anything else. We haven't got any sort of... Some people have Patreon, don't they? But we would happily take your money directly without offering you anything in return. So if you look in the description of the podcast and also in our YouTube channel, you will see there are routes there that you can send us your money directly. And we don't want just a bit of your money. We want all your money. Give us all your money.
All your money.
If you want to bequeath us stuff, if you do, perhaps if you're ill, on the verge of death, and why not leave us in your will?
We're better off having it than your dog.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, because we've seen your dog. We might even look after your dog. You could just bequeath stuff to both of us. Depends what the dog looks like. But if it's a good-looking dog, I'm sure we could find a way. We'd find some sort of agreement. Yeah. So send us your money. Anything else?
Just spread the word.
So we'll say goodbye to you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. I'm going to put my hand over my own face so you can see my hand waving. Or can you even hear it? I'll do it next to the microphone so even the people on the podcast can hear it. That's me waving bye-bye.
I can feel the vibrations. Woo! Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
They said you should have been here last week. I swear you should have been here last week.